like to invite you to utilize your imagination for a minute and imagine this scene of a disaster. Imagine that Midland, Texas was struck with a terrible disease, an epidemic that infected thousands of people and completely altered the pattern of life here. Here's what the symptoms of that disease are. At work, employees no longer tried to do their best. They only did enough to satisfy the minimum job requirements. And husbands and wives, rather than giving unconditional love to one another, they simply met the minimum obligations of the letter of the law. Their marriages were empty contracts. And students, young people in school, rather than seeking to become educated persons, they crammed at the last minute to memorize just what was going to be on the exam. Nothing more. Just enough to pass. And sports teams, imagine, sports teams, they stopped practicing or working out or doing any weight training. They just showed up for the games. That's it. And they usually lost. What a disastrous situation, right? And what was that terrible disease that we're imagining? It's called minimalism. Minimalism. It also affects religion. In fact, our Holy Father, Pope Francis, warns us against minimalism. Minimalism is when you pray only when you want something from God. Minimalism is when you go to religious education classes just enough to get your sacraments, and that's it. Once a person makes the confirmation or the communion, they don't show up anymore. That's minimalism. Minimalism is when adults are satisfied to go through their adult life with an elementary level of faith education, not seeking to learn or grow anymore as the years go by. Now, Jesus gives us a remedy for this disease of minimalism. He gives it to us in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. There, Jesus taught us that it's not enough just to avoid the action of murder. We have to go deeper and root out all anger and contempt from our hearts and seek reconciliation actively. He taught us in the Sermon on the Mount that it's not enough simply to avoid the obvious physical sin of adultery, but we also need to eliminate the lust in our hearts and our glances. He taught us that Christianity is not just about following the minimum requirements of the exterior rules. Christianity is about living out an interior value that rests in our hearts. It's active. Christian holiness, according to the Sermon on the Mount, is not just about avoiding the obvious sins by following a certain set of rules. It's about knowing, first of all, that I am loved infinitely by God without deserving it. And I'm so grateful for that love that I want to live in the best possible way this one life that I have to give. Because my love for God pulls my heart in that direction of self-gift, in gratitude for His gift to me. So, a person who is living the Christian spirit of the Sermon on the Mount asks Jesus on a regular basis, Lord, what more can I do to follow you? What more can I become for you? Sermon on the Mount invites us to take the challenge to go above and beyond the call of duty and to always seek to do more, to be more for our Lord. It means wanting to grow continuously in our generous response to God, where we're not satisfied simply to meet the Sermon on the Mount, is giving us a whole new perspective on religion and on moral law. Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount is not erasing moral law. He's fulfilling it. He gives it a new, higher standard of morality. Jesus' moral teaching is more challenging than the Old Testament law. It goes deeper. The Christian life is not like a homework assignment that we can complete and then it's all taken care of. Christian life is a continual, lifelong process of sanctification. Christianity would be incomplete if we were to say, once I've punched my ticket and I'm baptized and saved, that's it, I'm in. Once and done, I got it made. That's an incomplete understanding of Christianity. St. Paul cautioned against that minimalistic approach when he said, we have to keep running the race to the end. St. Paul says we are being saved. It's an ongoing process of being saved. For those who struggle with the ongoing call, practice faith, day in, day out, or say, for example, with the young people who are here today, who sometimes wonder, why do we have to get up again on Sunday and go to church? Why do we have to go to a religious education class again? Can't I just watch cartoons? For those who wish we could just say, once a ticket, once and done, it's all finished, I got it made, I would invite you to think of two images from our practical life. It's the image of pulling weeds in a garden and brushing your teeth. If you're growing a flower garden or a vegetable garden, I think you can do that in a garden, right? Yes, there are some gardens. Well, you know, when you have a garden, you don't just pull the weeds once in March and then it's done for the rest of the growing season, right? You got to keep pulling those weeds because they're going to keep coming back. Or like brushing your teeth. What if you were to go to the dentist this week and the dentist notices some tooth decay and he says, have you been brushing your teeth? Now what if you respond, yes, I did one time back in 1968. I remember the date I brushed my teeth. Now what would that dentist say? He would say, no, this is something you got to keep doing. You have to keep practicing good dental hygiene. It's not just once and done. The Christian life is not minimalism. St. Paul in his letter to Timothy says there are some people who had Christian faith and they made a shipwreck of their faith because they got off on the wrong course. That's possible for any of us, according to St. Paul. St. Paul said in his letter to the Galatians, let us never grow tired of doing good. Never grow tired of it. That's the Christian worldview in the Bible. Jesus says in Matthew 24, those who persevere to the end will be saved. That's the words of Jesus. That's not minimalism. It's a lifelong process of sanctification. And I believe that this parish of St. Anne's, under the leadership of Monsignor Larry Grohl, is one of